Well, hello there. Today in this video, I'm going to tell you about 6 awesome places in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah that you may not have heard of. These are places that definitely will not disappoint. Kanab, Utah is located in the heart of southwestern United States, near the Arizona border. The town of Kanab is surrounded by the mountains on the west and the north sides. The first awesome place in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah that you may not have heard of is Wire Pass Trailhead to Buckskin Gulch, Slot Canyon. To reach Wire Pass Trailhead, follow US Highway 89. You'll end up taking a turnoff at the House Rock Valley Junction. From the Wire Pass Trailhead, follow the arroyo for a little more than a mile to the east. Although you need to scramble around the entrance of the Wire Pass Slot Canyon, I watched a young family with a 2-year-old safely navigate the scramble, so it can't be too difficult for most people. It was a little hard for this 70-year-old. I got through it with a little bit of work, no problem. Follow the canyon on to the east, where it joins up with Buckskin Gulch in a large open area. From there, you can either go north for a couple miles or to the south for about 20 miles in the Buckskin Gulch Slot Canyon. If you just plan to spend an hour or two, I suggest that you should follow the south section and go until you reach either standing water or, depending upon how much time you've got. You'll see a lot of an excellent section that way. The north section is not quite as colorful, in my opinion, and it's just not quite as interesting. Buckskin Gulch Slot Canyon is about 20 miles long, and the canyon varies in depth from about 50 feet to well over 200 feet. The water and wind sculpted walls of Navajo sandstone will not cease to impress nor thrill visitors as they navigate their way through the halls of the Slot Canyon. As one walks through the Slot Canyon, the variety of expression of colors, patterns, and shapes of the rock walls will stimulate your imagination. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah, that you may not have heard of is the East Rim Trails of Zion National Park. Zion National Park East Gate is only about 45 minutes drive from Kanab to the north and west. The Overlook Trail is the shortest of the East Rim trails and provides some good views. However, the parking and traffic near the tunnel is problematic and usually awful and crowded, with no space available to park in the midst of a traffic jam at the entrance of the tunnel. Referring to the Wilderness Trail map, trailheads 1 and 2 are the closest to the East Rim for viewing that amazing canyon rim perspective. The quality of the views from the East Mesa Trail or Cable Mountain Trail are far superior to the Overlook Trail near the tunnel. The Overlook Trail is much shorter, though, at 1 mile versus more like about 6 miles for East Mesa Trail or Cable Mountain Trail round trip. Beautiful Zion Canyon is very scenic and photogenic from the east and west rim trails. This section of the video is views from the Cable Mountain Trail. The dramatic landscape of colorful deep canyons, high cliffs, mesas, and forested plateaus in southwestern Utah. Zion National Park lies on the northwestern edge of the Colorado Plateau. Rivers heavy with sediment began the erosion process responsible for Zion's dramatic canyon and valley formations. Zion Canyon, carved by the Virgin River, is about 15 miles long and some 2,000 to 3,000 feet deep. The rocky domes and pinnacles that dot the canyon walls range in color from rust red at the lower elevations to nearly white at the summits. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah, that you may have heard of is the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Head south on U.S. Highway 89A to Arizona 67, which will lead to the Grand Canyon. It's about a 90-minute drive. When people talk about the Grand Canyon, most people are thinking about the south rim of the Grand Canyon. But there's a whole other rim. It's called the north rim of the Grand Canyon. But it was a pretty amazing view out there on the very end of that little quarter-mile trail that had all the ice and snow on it.
Yep.
You haven't seen the footage yet, have you?
No.
Yeah, I show how narrow it is. And, since I know that you're never going to go out on there.
Especially not when the trail is full of ice and you had to crawl across parts of it with no guardrail and nothing to keep you from plummeting to your death.
Yeah, I mean, you could see, looking down about 80 degrees downward, you can see for a mile. It's incredible view, but it's a little bit scary for somebody who isn't even afraid of heights.
Yeah. I kept thinking I should have gotten the car keys before you left. I don't think I had my car keys, and so I don't know what I would have done if you never showed back up.
Yeah.
I was starting to count the minutes there, the last 20 or so, because you were late getting back from your little walk on the trail.
There's surprisingly few buildings there. Just a bunch of cabins and then the gift shop and the lodge and the visitor center.
And the bar.
Or was there a bar? I didn't see that.
I've got pictures of it.
Okay.
I showed him to you. I didn't know if it was original wood or not. I couldn't tell. I just wanted to go in and quickly take a picture and go back out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, there was a bar. That's kind of interesting because I don't know if there's a bar on the South Rim. Not that I've ever seen, but maybe I just haven't seen it.
Oh, there's a whole village there. I mean,
yeah,
there's a bunch.
Well, that's true. They do have, but I never saw like a bar that you walk in and you drink. In the South Rim. I saw stores where you could buy anything.
Yeah. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah, that you may not have heard of is Toadstool Hoodoos Trail, Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. Now, we did drive up the road from Kanab to the east to what's called the Toadstool Hoodoos Trail. It's also a BLM managed area, and it's about 35 miles to the trailhead. And once you get there, you walk in this wash for about the better part of a mile, and then you kind of climb up on top of the bank of the wash, and it's a little tricky for a little ways, but not too bad. And then you walk for another half a mile or so, and you're right there in the middle of this big amphitheater that's about a half a mile wide and a half a mile long. And you have big white rock walls with segments cut out of the walls from the wind and the water erosion. All around there's the red rock that you see in southern Utah almost everywhere. And you see interesting erosions. It's not too difficult of a walk. You have to kind of climb up some little hills. And then right in the middle of the amphitheater, you see some really interesting toadstools, if you will, shaped sculptures that of rock that look like they ought to fall over at any moment, but somehow I've managed to stay standing. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah, that you may not have heard of is the Pew Canyon Trail. For driving directions to Pew Canyon, drive to the east end of Country Club Drive and park. Take the trail to Pew Canyon. Okay, well, what do you like about Pew Canyon?
I like it because it's challenging enough to give you some aerobics and some cardio.
Yeah.
Because we go up, even though it's kind of flat, it's kind of uphill. And you've got some ravines that you have to crawl in and out of. One of them just has a border across it, which you've crossed, but I always go around and find a different arroyo to crawl through.
It's about 5 feet deep.
Yeah. So's the one I crawl through.
That's what I'm talking about.
I usually run. I run down it and run up it.
Right.
So that's what I like. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, good cardio. It's a nice length, and we haven't seen any mountain lions yet. I like that a lot. Even though we're probably being stalked by mountain lions, we don't see them.
There's not as many mountain lions as you think.
There's more than you know.
That could be. What don't you like about Pew Canyon?
Oh, there's nothing I don't like about it.
Well, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
And
it's scenic and everything's nice about it. It represents my favorite kind of hike.
Yeah.
Not too hard, not too easy, not too crowded. We hardly ever see anybody on there. A good source of exercise and most beautiful scenery you can imagine.
Yeah, those red rock canyon walls really are pretty. The first time we hiked in there, it was pretty muddy.
I call it greasy.
Huh?
Greasy.
Yeah, well.
Because you don't sink, but you kind of slide as you walk.
Yeah.
And you leave these big giant footprints. And we had to scrape our shoes every 10 minutes because they got so full of mud that you couldn't hardly lift your feet.
Yeah, I think you could make adobe bricks out of those things. I mean, out of the stuff we scraped off. In fact, when we went back there a couple of times, the castings of our scrapings, were still just as hard as a rock. Did you like the convenience of Pew Canyon?
Yes, I did.
Me too.
I like it right across the street, just like you said.
Yeah.
5 minutes to get there.
Or less, depending upon how fast they drive. The next awesome place in the area surrounding Kanab, Utah, that you may not have heard of is Red Canyon, Slot Canyon. Red Canyon is about 12 miles north of Kanab, with most of those miles being on asphalt highway, the last 7 or 8 miles being across desert. It is highly recommended that to travel to see Red Canyon, one needs to use a high-clearance four-wheel drive vehicle in order to avoid getting stuck in the deep sand in some places. Red Canyon is a good example of a slot canyon. However, it's a faint shadow when in comparison to Buckskin Gulch. It's not nearly as deep and not nearly as long, but what's there is good, and it's interesting and it's beautiful in its own special way. Very much worth going for a visit. And these are the 6 amazing things to see near Kanab, Utah,